G'day guys, so I'm here with Andy, otherwise known as Mr. Culture. So we're just going to have a little chat today about his nutrition experience over 2020. So Andy really took the lockdown by the horns and he really nailed his training and his nutrition. He didn't have access to a lot of equipment, but he was nailing out floor press, split squats, all that good stuff, concentration curls. So he didn't let a lack of equipment stall his progress. Additionally, he's really dialed in his nutrition. We're going to let him talk a fair bit, but I remember you saying he could have gone one of two ways, and he definitely chose the right way to let things happen. So we were previously working on nutrition, but throughout lockdown, he just kind of took it to a next level. So what we want to discuss is kind of Andy's journey, what he's done throughout this year to have a better experience in nutrition, things we've done this time around that have been better than in the past, and yeah, just kind of discuss his experience. So the first thing we'll talk about is how your experience in terms of tracking calories and all that type of stuff has differed this round to different experiences in the past. Because I know you've talked about there's been times where you've done it where you didn't enjoy it and you felt like it was kind of a hindrance on your life and your kind of enjoyment. So I reckon we'll start there.
Yeah. About 2 years ago or so, started looking at counting calories and looking to try and cut weight. Hadn't done it before, hadn't really approached it in any particular direction. So the first time I did it was really strict, kind of cold turkey.
Turkey.
No turkey. Cutting into that, and it was all about keeping to a set amount of calories and all these other stipulations. And
I remember it was a very low amount. Like it was
very low. Like we're talking like 2,000 calories.
Yeah, like crazy.
Not much at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hunger wasn't a massive issue. It was just trying to fit things in. Then kind of realizing things are so calorie dense, even though you need them, was trying to limit those. So it just created this kind of unhealthy relationship with nutrition and kind of ruining what I felt was a good relationship that I have with food. Not perfect, but I enjoy foods from any range of the spectrum. I felt like it was just kind of throwing it all out of the, cotton, thinking, I can't have any of the foods I enjoy again, or it's all about not boring foods, but I'm trying to fit things in, and it just wasn't working. So I just got really frustrated. So I kind of said, I don't want to count, but I'll find a middle ground in my own head.
Yeah, and I remember when we first started, like with everyone, when someone comes to us and is looking to lose a bit of weight, the first thing we say is just start weighing yourself, so we can be aware of what we're weighing. And then if our weight's tracking down, we know what we're doing is working. Obviously, if it's not, we've got to change things. So that's what we started with. I remember you just set up a little spreadsheet and you just weighed yourself every day.
Yeah.
But then to lead up to I remember a bit before the first comp you did. That's what we did. Yeah.
Before JPS last year, I needed to drop a bit to get to a weight class that I wanted to be in. So yeah, I didn't really count or anything, just weighed myself every morning and saw the patterns and adjusted. So that was really empowering. That was kind of a good start to think, okay, this is the effect it has in it. Instead of starting from the start, you actually started at the end result, which is the weight.
Definitely.
And that was really cool. That kind of turned it into a bit more of a challenge or a game for me. And when there was a goal ahead of me that wasn't just weight loss, it was to compete in a comp. It kind of changed the outlook.
Definitely. And then so we eventually did start tracking calories. I can't remember exactly. I think you just came to me and said, like, let's try it.
Yeah, just out of the blue. I think like near the start of the year, I was thinking, this is good to weigh myself and to kind of go, but it wasn't enough. I did want to kind of take it to another level, and that was me wanting to. So yeah, and just seeing, I mean, it sounds like you guys did so much work in getting this nutrition side of your coaching up on the ground. So I wanted to give it a shot and see how you guys approached it.
I think the key thing to take away from what you just said there is it was you wanting to do it. I think that's really important. There's obviously many different ways to string a cat, but if you throw calorie tracking on someone who just doesn't want to do it, it's pretty much never going to end well. They might stick to it for a little while, but if it's you kind of trying to convince someone to do something that they maybe don't want to do, more often than not, it worked for a bit, but it won't work forever. Whereas the fact that it came from Andy, he came to me saying, I'd like to start tracking calories. Can you give me a bit of help with that? That was the key part. And that's obviously why we've seen a positive experience and a lot of consistency and a lot of kind of positive momentum in the direction we want to head, because it came from you. You weren't being told what to do. You wanted to make these changes, and then I was just here to kind of help you make some tweaks in order to get where we want to be.
Well, it's funny because it was so different to the first one I tried, which was so strict and rigid. I was kind of expecting that. I kind of wanted that in some respects. I was like, I'm in a better place to be more disciplined with my nutrition, and I want to give that another crack. So you kind of gave me little tidbits. I'm like, oh, this isn't enough. So, but in a good way, didn't realize you were trying to build a habit and make me learn what was going on. So you kind of started by giving me something small, and then I decided to run with it. You know, weighing myself, okay, try and aim for this. It wasn't a number that I had to meet. It was just like, let's aim for this. Let's actually meet it instead of let's keep under it. So it kind of...
I think at the start, I was even telling you to eat more food, like sometimes more carbs or maybe a bit less protein than you actually were eating. Just
absolutely, You kind of took the guesswork out of it and said, this is what I want you to hit. So for me, it was instead of needing to keep under, it was me trying to actually meet up to an expectation, and that changed my outlook. I'm like, oh, I actually need to hit these. So you turned it into almost like a challenge or a game instead of a set of rules.
Definitely. And I think even at the start there, when we were, because you're eating a lot of protein, probably more than you needed to be. So obviously I pulled your protein back to give you a bit more carbs. But I think what was key about that was having you eat a bit more food meant that you didn't feel the need to have days where you didn't track as often. Because I imagine with that lower calorie amount, you might hit it 3-4 days a week, and then you're like, oh, stuff this. Like I've just got to have a binge. I've got to have some more fun foods more often. But because I told you to eat more food on the daily, it just meant that you didn't feel the need as often. Like obviously we're all going to have some days here and there, but we were able to limit those, I think, because you were eating more every day pretty much.
I mean, it definitely helped realising that I didn't need to actually eat more. I wasn't eating enough, wasn't getting enough in. Especially things like carbs and fats. I thought that kind of like the first time around gave me the initiative that you needed to kind of limit those or curtail those. But instead, it's actually all working together to give you your proper nutrition. So it kind of challenged me to look at things a bit differently and to change my aspect and to kind of approach it with a bit more of a positivity and kind of easy on myself. Like you were easy on me, so I realised that I had to be easy on myself. There was no expectation to be fully 100%. Like you said, there's going to be days where it's different than the others. I mean, today's McHappy Day, so go figure what's going to happen after this. So it was really empowering. It was really empowering to be able to kind of learn and go on the journey instead of starting all at once. It was just like it's kind of like that, was it Hansel and Gretel, like little tidbits of information for me to follow. And eventually kind of coming to different learning experiences.
Awesome. Probably the last thing I want to touch on is, I know we've talked about this previously, some of the changes you've made to food choices. I know there's been a lot of foods you've been trying to focus on which have helped you to feel full, because obviously we're eating less food, but I think you've implemented a lot of good strategies to not necessarily change how much you're eating, but change where you're getting those foods from. So sticking to a lower calorie amount has been a lot easier. So maybe you can talk about some of the things you've implemented there, like in regards to like the food volume based stuff.
Sometimes I'm coming out of work breaks in carb comas and because of just what I'm eating. So I think for me, one of the keys, and I think this is one of the big things for me, was back before I counted, it was just calories. Then now it was the macros hitting. You need to make these. You can be hitting all the protein in the world, but I needed to hit more carbs. I needed more energy
and more fibre. We talked about.
That's the thing. That was the thing. Fibre was the big thing for me. Realizing that you wanted me to hit a minimum amount, and it was actually realizing that it's not easy to get to a certain amount of fibre per day. You had to be intentional about it. So that caused me to actually think about how I need to go about my day and what was I having each meal to make sure that I was getting my fibre in. So, as I said the other day, you can't fake fibre. Like you can have 2,000 calories of fruit and veggies, or you can have 2,000 calories of junk food, but fibre, you need to make the effort to get it in. So looking at things like vegetables, obvious ones, vegetables, but also incorporating a lot more lentils and legumes in my diet, and that's been a really big help, and kind of even having some oats in my fruit in the morning and building up fibre in that way. So as soon as you kind of gave me that target to hit, it's like, I want you to hit this much fibre a day, but you can go as far beyond it as you like. That kind of unlocked everything for me, because I realised that just to get the amount of fibre in was just gave me the amount of volume of food that I had to eat. Like, I can't get around it. So I'm feeling fuller.
Definitely. So
but
even though
also
you're
feeling
on
lighter at the same time.
less calories, the amount of food on your plate has
Huge.
been big because you're picking those low calorie options that obviously have a lot of fibre, but not that much calorie per serving.
My wife Hannah, if you know her, she's around here in the culture every now and then. She's getting grumpy at me because I'm stealing all her vegetables. And we go to the veggie shop, like,
good problem to have
every couple of days, which is great. So
awesome.
I definitely am eating a lot. It's almost hard sometimes to keep that up, just keep taking all that food. So that's the actual new challenge, is actually just the habits and organising my food now, not the volume and not the calories. It's actually the logistics of it now. Is the next challenge.
Awesome, man. I reckon that wraps it up. So thanks for sharing with us. I think people have a few things to take away from that in regards to some strategies they might be able to implement. If any of you would like to do nutrition coaching with us, we do offer that as part of our coaching service. So definitely get in contact if you feel like you've seen some things from Andy's experience that you think you could implement for yourself. Thanks, guys. Happy lifting.